What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Then Jinrai surprised me all over again.
Well, so what? I don't care if he's bluffing or not. Masayuki's an incredible man. He's never failed us, not even once.
Oh, he knew? I guess he saw the guy for what he was after all. A bluffer, yeah, but definitely a lot more than that. I should probably rethink my opinion of Jinrai, although Masayuki was giving him a hurt puppy dog look now. Bernie, it seemed, wasn't a fan of this reaction.
So you knew, and you still stuck with him? And you actually respect this total loser? Don't make me laugh.
The irritation was glaring in his raised voice. But I was the really annoyed one here.
What's so bad about bluffing? I'm bluffing my way through my life, too.
Rimuru.
Well, aren't I? I used to be an anonymous face at the office. I wasn't living in some world full of heroes and demon lords, but I still tried my best every day, because I had no other choice. And I wouldn't want oblivious idiots like you to laugh at me about it.
Masayuki silently nodded.
You.
Jinrai glanced at me. Even he was looking a little confused now. I kept going.
I mean, isn't it obvious? If I don't keep telling myself that what I'm doing is right, I'd never be able to be king of this realm or whatever.
Fired up from shouting, I walked over to Masayuki's side, slowly, so I didn't alarm Bernie while he was crossing swords with Benimaru.
Everybody's doing their best just to keep living, you know. That's why I'm doing what I can to create a world where we can all live happily together. Masayuki's done a lot to help out with that. He's done so much for me. And I'm not gonna sit here and allow you to make fun of him.
I stood in front of Masayuki as I admonished Bernie. Hearing that, Jinrai deeply nodded. So did Masayuki.
Bernie, were you planning to use me like this from the beginning?
He spoke directly to Bernie. His past panic now vanished without a trace.
That's what I said, didn't I?
Bernie replied, keeping his distance from Benimaru, who, in turn, was in front of me, sizing him up. Under the effects of the holy field, Benimaru wasn't able to tap his full powers, so instead of trying to finish Bernie off in one fell swoop, he was taking more of a wait-and-see approach.
Did Yuki order you to?
Huh? Oh, right. Hey. Well, I could explain all that to you, but what's in it for me?
He was still lording it over us, but at least he was still talking. Maybe, with the holy field in place, he had no doubts about his superior position?
Negative. He has some sort of aim in mind. Datta confirmed. There is another subject who is a member of Masayuki's party. After searching for data on this subject, her presence was not found in the labyrinth. However, there is no record of her ever leaving it. This is.
Raphael was spitting out data with frightening speed. Judging by how it wasn't bothering to organize any of it for me in advance, it must have thought this was a pretty major emergency. If I recall, there was one more member of Masayuki's gang, Chiu. She was helping Bacchus smooth things over with the overcomers.
Confirmed. A mass murder has occurred in the laboratory on floor 100. The subject Bacchus and several overcomers have been slaughtered. Their souls have been put in protective custody as an emergency measure.
That's serious news. I wouldn't know about Bacchus, but each overcomer down there was supposed to be a monster. It was really hard to believe she could kill so many of them in the tiny sliver of time since she left Masayuki's side. Defeating an overcomer taking pains to defend himself was an extremely difficult task for anyone. They all had ultraspeed regeneration and an artist's palette of other special skills. With Benimaru's firepower or Zijin's incredible evolution, I could see it. But no way any of the other dungeon marvels, Kumara included, could pull that off. And that wasn't the only issue. If we weren't receiving any response from Chiu at the moment, that couldn't be ignored. I mean, Raphael was keeping tabs on every single thing going on in the labyrinth, wasn't he? If he couldn't find her inside the labyrinth, that meant Chiu was.
Mr. Tempest.
That voice reached my mind a split second before the thought communication came along. The next moment, I used Mind Accelerate to slow down time for me. Did I respond first, or was it Raphael? Either way, it wound up saving my life.
Die.
A black flash of light closed in on my chest. Someone, probably Chiu, had taken a shot at me from what seemed to be a perfectly concealed hiding place. I had fallen on the spot and rolled away, putting aside all dignity and royal personage, and that helped me escape that deadly blade. It was all thanks to that warning, one issued by Chloe, the little girl, who was wearing a mask. She was back to her old habits with that Mr. Tempest stuff, but there was no time to poke fun at her about it. Really, this was a pretty bad situation. I had been doing my best to keep a watchful eye on the surroundings, and Raphael was staying vigilant as well. If she had managed to get through that security net, there could have been only one way. The assassin must have had an ultimate skill, too. I had finally gotten my eyes on the assassin just now, and it was definitely Jiwoo. Her face was expressionless as always, but the atmosphere she presented was a total 180 from before. She was cold and sharpened. It wasn't an exaggeration to call her a whole other person.
What a surprise. You've been tailing me in secret?
Jiwoo said to Chloe. Her assassination attempt had failed, but Jiwoo wasn't upset about it. She pointed the black blade extending from the pendant in her hand at Chloe.
If you're all going to fight out in the open like this, of course we're going to notice. You're a talented little girl, aren't you? I don't need you telling me that. And I'm not a little girl.
With that, Chloe transformed into an adult woman. She took out Moonlight, the god-class rapier, and focused it straight at Jiwoo. Now we were graced with the presence of Chloe the hero, in all her masked glory.
We had the perfect chance served up, and you just had to ruin it. Way to blow everything, Jiwoo.
Bernie clicked his tongue at Jiwoo.
I'm sorry.
She calmly replied.
I was trying to make sure nobody interfered with us, but I didn't realize there was this ambush going on.
These two are definitely acquainted. They must both be assassins, quite skilled ones, sent by someone who wanted me dead. Both an even match for each other, too, which meant Bernie might very well have an ultimate skill of his own. He glared at Benimaru as Jiwoo and Chloe raised their swords against each other. I was standing in front of Masayuki and Jinrai, protecting them as I saw what unfolded.
Well, no helping it now. If we've blown our cover, there's no reason to hide our full abilities, either.
I agree with you on that. We need to rub these enemies out as soon as we can.
Bernie and Jiwoo focused their strength into the pendants that were the sources of their weapons. They reacted by shining even brighter than before. It looked familiar to me.
Ah, so you're both Imperial Guardians?
I said. Once he was fully equipped, Bernie nodded his assent, rolling his eyes as he did.
Guess you've already started fighting my compatriots, huh? But you better not shuffle me in with the other Imperial Knights.
He wasn't kidding, either. In fact, he seemed to be hiding some pretty extraordinary abilities.
Enough chit-chat. Let's just kill them already.
Jiwoo had a unique set of armor on as well. Its design was similar to what I saw before, but this set was jet black, with a sheen like lonely stars floating in the darkness. Legend-class armor, I assumed, and probably just a hair's width away from God-class. Bernie had the same gear. His armor was yellow in hue, but performance-wise, it was on par with Jiwoo, and I was sure the skills of the wearers were similar to the specs of their armor.
Jiwoo, you feel that way about me, too.
The forlorn question from Masayuki was greeted with a cold stare.
Of course. I only protected you because that was my mission.
Jiwoo replied. It was a frank, direct statement, nothing more to it than that. And if I could recognize it as such, I couldn't imagine how much it hurt Masayuki. I really wanted to offer him some condolences, but now wasn't the time.
Benimaru, watch out. She's super strong. I'm positive she's hiding an ultimate skill.
An ultimate? You mean beyond a unique? Will it take more than hard work and perseverance for me to survive, then?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think you can win.
Goodness. If you put it that way, Sir Rimuru, it's all the more depressing.
That was my pure, impartial evaluation, but Benimaru just gave it a wry grin. He still seemed pretty chill about this. Maybe he had some ideas of his own? Ultimate skills could only be defended with other ultimate skills. That was the absolute law of it, and I didn't think there was a way to get around that. But then again, this was the Labyrinth. Even if worse came to worst, neither of us was going to die, so I decided to let Benimaru handle his own affairs. The same applied to Chloe. I mean, she's basically the most powerful hero in the world. She totally overwhelmed Veldora, even, and that was without an ultimate skill. Admittedly, that was more the out-of-control Chronoa than Chloe, but either way, she's got tremendous skill in a fight. Plus, now she does have an ultimate skill, Yog-Sothoth, Lord of Time. I really didn't see her losing to Jiwoo. If there was any concern, it was over whether she could actually control Yog-Sothoth, I suppose. So just for extra insurance, I sent an order over to Raphael.
Acknowledge. Beginning analysis of the enemy's possessed skill.
That should work, right? Thus, for now, I decided to watch the battle unfold, preparing myself to step in at any time if need be. Bernie was the first to react. Grasping his pendant, he funneled his strength into it once more. Then the pendant itself morphed, changing shape and turning into a spear.
I've never shown you this before, but spear combat's actually my specialty. Let me give you a little show before you die.
After contemptuously declaring that to us all, he dropped down low and readied himself for combat. Then, without any spellcasting, he invoked some magic on his spear. This was Thunder Rain, a lightning-type magic, a ranged attack, essentially, but all its energy was focused entirely on that spear. Pretty neat move, for sure, but not as much of a threat as I was imagining. Benimaru fought back, infusing dark flame into his own blade. The black flames entwined themselves around the crimson sword, giving off an enigmatic sparkle. Another fine move, one that put him so high among the monster hierarchy that his command abilities seemed like just a nice bonus in comparison. Then they both acted simultaneously. I thought Bernie was only a magic user, but his spear skills were incredible. All that bragging earlier really wasn't just for show. Still, though, I was able to follow his movements with ease. What bothered me, though, was that predict future attack still hadn't activated for me, which meant,
Report. The subject Bernie's skill is preventing any interference.
I thought so. There was probably some kind of block on Jiwoo, too, that prevented me from keeping up with her moves earlier. Both of them might have had a skill that protected them from any outside interference, which was pretty helpful for them. But what interested me more was what other sorts of skills they might have. Benimaru and Bernie were waging a pretty even battle. I saw no distress at all on Benimaru's face, he was keeping up with Bernie just fine. Bernie, meanwhile, was starting to look a tad irritated. Benimaru had more core strength, and that was giving him an edge. With the difference in equipped battle gear, I still thought this was Bernie's fight to win, so I could get it if he was frustrated.
Got some fight in you, huh?
You're certainly a disappointment.
Benimaru's reply made Bernie visibly scowl. That must have been an affront to his pride, because now he was glaring at Benimaru like he'd killed his parents.
How's a monster get off saying that to me? You gonna keep saying that once you get a taste of this?
With that shout, Bernie spun his spear around and attempted to get out of Benimaru's range. Keeping himself both defended and at the ready to strike, he stepped back in order to attempt a finisher. But Benimaru wasn't about to let him. He easily closed the distance at once, expertly anticipating his moves. It was quite a sight. I knew Benimaru had been doing a little clandestine training of his own lately, but I had no idea he had grown to that level. If you asked me, I'd say his skills were even better than Hakuro's now. I mean, I thought Alberto was pretty fly with a sword, but there was no doubt in my mind that Benimaru surpassed him. And the way he controlled his dark flame. He wasn't letting that stuff sweep him away at all. It was truly his own to handle, and I was amazed by it.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Sanketh Chelu, Minotaur, Chad Vota, I Like Anime, Ray Perez, Chris Guzman, Havox, Speed Saber, James Waters, Arijit Das, Quilly Buckner, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Justa Guy, Jason Martin, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Benjamin Villar, Funky Junkie 22, Jovi, Jason Reyes, Donald Williams, Moab A, Day of Light, John M, John Charles, Godman Gaming, Akon Engok, Markithian Tidwell, Andre L. Hamilton, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Chang, John L., Tojum, Edgar Fuentes, JV, Dirty Old Hobo, Gonse Direco, Thomas, Edmund, J., Christ, Juan Ignacio, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Vethelny, Lunel Scarlett, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Cal Robs, Divine C. Harris, Destiny Smith, Panda Cats, Aaron Alarcon, DeAndre Nance, Monty Boy 98, D-Man, Divinay, Wise Viking, Ruben, Luis Caro, Pedro Robles, Kemal Ebanks, Chris Duncan Jr., Isaac, Shadow Wolf 660, Koala King 93, Devon, Paul deGrasse, R.N. Bart, Little 95, Mizzle Bizzle, Zephyras, Hadila Francisca, Alver, Darius King, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Jaya Keshav, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, Marvin Emmerich, Alex Gomez, J. Rule, Nate, Sayonori, Alfredo Renteria, Lil Tier, Liron Sangkap, Eric Tass, Christopher Mash, Edward Garcia, BFGR, Ilex Y, Rory M. Brassel, Sri Nanduri, Foolish Prophets, Ethan Madison, Louis Strutter, Charles Bailey, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Nick H, Andre Hamilton, Jason Torres, Sesh, Sergio Aguilar, Martin Ramos, Guy Ansley, Simon Road, Emperor WSA, Mika Espinosa, George Hage, Stabby Cakes, Alex Yamashita, Pratik Bandari, Ara Dare, Raymar Costales, Faiz Mansour, Deriha Skerte, Jackson Early, John Jerome Valdenaro, Esauna Daka, Smexy. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.